Here we are. It's not Monday, it's Tuesday, and this is Coffee Talk. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Laura. Coffee Talk is brought to you by the Rhee Gold Company. We are passionate about dance education, and if you'd like to learn more, check it out at www.rheegold.com. Laura, how is life?
Life is good. It's busy. We're in the thick of it right now at the dance studio. I feel like everybody is. It's February. You know, it's comp season for us, and we have our showcase on Sunday for all of our company kids. So I had everyone, yesterday was President's Day, which is why we have Coffee Talk today. And I was getting messages, are we closed? I was like, it's Gala week. We're open on Monday night. President's Day is Monday night. Like, we're going in. So yeah, so we're like, you know, living it. And it was good. Last night was actually really good. I have 3 company classes on Monday night, and it was like, okay, we all look good. And I was telling you about that modern piece I had with the signs, and they all actually like painted their signs, and like I could actually like see it, and I was like, okay, this is actually what my brain wanted to look like. So it was good. Really, really good. How about you? What's going on with you?
Getting ready, I believe, to put out the conference schedule.
Ooh, it's a big job.
I'm putting all the pieces together for, I don't know, 3 weeks. I think I'm ready. Got to write a few descriptions and ready to roll. So this weekend, this is how I work. A little Netflix, go back to the laptop, get another few hours done, a little Netflix. But I woke up this morning and most of it is done and ready to roll. I love when I get this behind me.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big job. I mean, I make a fall schedule with 3 classrooms. I couldn't imagine making a week-long schedule with 100 plus, you know, like 2 different events and putting it all together, all the different rooms.
Oh, you're giving me more credit than I deserve. I only did the conference. I still have soul to do, but thank you.
But still, even the conference itself is still like 5 classrooms, Rhee, running at the same time. It's a lot.
Okay,
it's huge.
I appreciate this little Monday or Tuesday morning motivational talk from you, Laura. Got any other words of wisdom for this guy?
No, cheers. Coffee's life.
Cheers to everybody watching. Today's guests are Scott Sisbarro and Diane Gudat. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna have a good time. I will say this. I feel like I've known Gudat. I call her Gudat. She's on here as Diane. All my life I've called it Gudat. I actually can't tell you why that started, but I feel like I've known them for my entire life. You know, I did dance. I produced dance competitions for about 24 years, and both of these guys were hosts for me, special awards judges. Lots of traveling around this country, and a lot of laughs and a lot of exhaustion.
Yep.
And now we're still friends after all these years. They both come to the Dance Life Teacher Conference. We can see Diane and Scott on this. I know all of you can't, but I'm checking out their faces as we're talking. Let's not talk about them anymore. We'll bring them on in a minute.
Yep.
And we'll see you right after this. Here we are, guys. Nice to see you. Gudat, you were in that video.
I know, I felt so famous just now. I mean, geez, I saw myself 3 times.
You are famous, my friend.
I
Welcome. Good to see you, Scotty. Good to see you. I guess it's Gudat and Scotty. So I don't actually, I have to have a little special name for each one of you.
Yeah, I think it's Gudat because it's you're Gold and I'm Gudat, and it like comes alphabetically every time we say it. I think that's why that happened.
Oh.
Who knew? Who knew?
Because I tried to figure it out. That's how I could tell if I got a phone call from you or your brother, because he calls me Diane and you call me Gudat.
Oh, I didn't know this went as deep as it does.
But just as long as you keep calling me.
Okay, I'll always call you. I'll always call you. Scotty, how about you? How's life going, my friend?
Oh, one day at a time. One day at a time. Every day's a new adventure.
Really?
It is.
Tell me about, I heard you made a decision this year. A little birdie told me.
Yeah, I had a dance company for forever. It wasn't a big company because my studio is not that big, but kids that really liked to do competition or really didn't like just were doing it because they wanted to perform. So this year it ended up I had 3 kids graduate last year. And so I've just kind of dissolved my company. I have one girl that's working very hard and I will make sure that she gets to do whatever she wants and does classes, but I'm not going to do another one. I'm just talking to our good friend, Melissa Hoffman. And I said, I think I need to start a new company. I audition some younger kids and get the, new blood in there. And she said, do you really want to do that? And I go, oh. And she's like, well, look at your financials and see if you can do it without it. And then so I did, and I can do it without it. So I've had some Fridays now and Saturdays off kind of. And yeah, it's new.
And how do you feel about it? Like, how does it make you feel?
There's days that I'm kind of like, I feel bad, like, because you see the kids that are really, like the younger kids that are really good. And I'm like, oh, they're really, gosh, they could be really good,
Yeah,
but I think I'm giving them enough that way. And I'm not opposed to bringing them to do classes and doing stuff if they want to. And, I would do that. But I'm in a different area. My kids, I can't do classes on Fridays, and I've given up Saturday classes because I have families that travel and they're gone and they're going to their ski house and they're going to, on a cruise or whatever. So
yeah,
it's a different kind of a area.
Yep.
So
and you're still going out and hosting and judging, etc. Yes.
Yeah, right now I am. So yes, I'm still seeing all the competition kids and still seeing everybody. I've already done one, and it's it's exactly what you think. It's like, oh, I miss everybody. And then the third number in, you're going, it's the same exact thing. It's
we're going to talk about that a little later.
Which is still good because I'm watching the kids grow up and how much better they are and whatever. But like, can't I just get together with all the teachers and just have fun and then we can leave? We don't have to listen to 12 hours of dance competition music and watch the kids do dances that we kind of made up for them, that they're going to make up whatever they want down stage.
Okay, here's a compliment coming up on the screen for you, Scott.
Oh, thanks, Aaron. Love you.
Aww.
That's nice.
That's awesome.
You know how Scott became a host?
Go ahead, Rhee.
You pop in if I do this wrong.
Okay.
I'm in Connecticut. It was always a marathon dance competition. You came in with someone. I think it was Jill Chase. Or was it Gudat?
No, wait, I'm going to even precede that. It was, you were having a competition in Massachusetts or New Hampshire or somewhere far for me. And I drove like 3 or 4 hours to go visit. Joanne Zavisa was on the panel. Diane might have been on the panel. All these people that I knew. And Joanne, who I'd met through
Zavisa?
Yeah, Joanne Zavisa from Teachers Training Schools. I would talk to her and Diane as well. That's how we met. And she's like, come up, you can come visit everybody. And I'm like, it's so far. I think it was in college. And I was sitting in the back watching, and then there was a break, and then come sit with Rhee, come on. And we were sitting together, and this was when we had tapes, and you would forward the tapes past the runner, and with a pencil.
With a
my
pencil.
God.
And literally, you showed me how to do it, like 3 things, and then you're like, all right, you're fine. I am going to have a cigarette. Go. And I started to talk, and all the judges.
I wish you didn't tell the cigarette part.
Well, hello. It was back in the day. It's not that anymore. But all the judges were like this, and then all of a sudden I talked, and they all went like this, and they laughed, and then that was the beginning. I remember that school too. It had the stage, but they had stairs going up to the school. I want to say like Patty Eisenhower was there. It was like Diane Kelly was probably there. It was all that. It was in Massachusetts thingy.
Yeah,
so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's how I remember it.
That's how I got my host.
Yeah.
That's how I got my host. I'd look around the room and I'd go, who'd be good on the microphone? And I'd have them come sit with me for a few minutes, and I'd get up and throw them right in.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, still to this day, when I'm hosting, if I am behind, I have Rhee Gold right here behind me and go, come on, Scott, come on, we're behind. We're behind. You gotta go faster. Which you can't do anymore because there's no speeding up. It's all on a computer, so there's no pitching up songs anymore.
Yeah, you can't speed it up anymore.
No.
Or slow it down, which is good because
I told this story on Coffee Talk before, but I'm gonna do it one more time. Variable speed on the cassette. They'd come down, they go, please give me make it a little faster, slow it down. And it was broken. And I would turn it and they go, perfect.
Oh, many a times.
Oh yeah, forever.
I always would touch it. Sorry, teachers. I really did. I just touched it and didn't touch it. Or then you did touch it, and then the poor people behind them.
You forget to put it back. Yeah.
Totally do. There's a lot going on.
But competition ended earlier that way, so it was all good.
It did. I usually have it in.
That was the stress of running dance competitions. Really, if you thought about it, was working to keep it on time, working to make it so that people weren't mad because you were late. That was like 50% of what it probably still is. 50%.
Yes, I think very much so. I mean, when you put a kid on stage at the time that they're scheduled, grandma's there, dad's there, everybody, it all works out lovely. A little bit early is good, not too much early is trouble, but because grandma isn't there yet, but
I'm asking, do you see all our friends here that are saying hello this morning?
Yes,
that's Mark. Hi, Sandy.
April's there.
Hi, April.
Fernando,
I gotta say, I just said to Diane, I said, you know what we did 7 years ago this day? And we were at April's competition, and it was the day after, and Diane, I was laying in bed, and Diane comes in and she goes, what do you want to do today? Because we were going to the airport, really late, right, Di, or something?
Either that or the next day,
next day, I think. Oh, maybe it was the next day. She goes, I'm going to get a car. And I was like, okay. She comes back with a Mustang, and we drove. We drove to the Grand Canyon. And I had Arizona clothes on. I had shorts on. I didn't have Grand Canyon, where we went through snow and rain, and we went through every weather condition. Get out, look at the Grand Canyon, and they're like, okay. And then we drove to Sedona and had dinner. And then we drove.
What a life.
Well, wow. I said, what do you want to do it today? He goes, well, let's go shopping. I said, I thought to myself, a mall? Come on.
They have a really good outlet mall, though.
I said, have you ever been to the Grand Canyon? He said, why? Is it close to here? I said, yeah, I'll be back. I said, pack, take a shower, I'll be back. So I caught an Uber to a car rental, got a car rental, honked in front of the hotel. He came out, and off we went. It was hysterical.
Yeah, and we did drop it off that night, Diane. It was that was a full day because we went to the airport. We dropped it off at the airport.
I want to say a little editorializing there. I find Sedona to be one of the nicest places on earth.
Yes.
I went back. I've been there several times. Of course, April's taken me a couple times. We've done the pink Jeep tour and all that kind of stuff. And we took the travel van back there and actually stayed for several days in the pine forest there. And it's just, not to mention the prickly pear margaritas. Let's just say that.
Which April will have a comment about. Because,
yes, agave.
Yeah.
So we seem to have gone on to discuss competition a little bit. I'm interested, both of you hosts, special awards judge, regular judges. I know you will jump into any place. Oh, here's April's prickly pear is the best margarita. We take everyone's opinions here. If you could like say to a group of teachers who are getting ready to go, some words of wisdom or thoughts about the season, what might you say? I'll start with Gudat.
I think that, there are some studios that have students that they can count on to do exactly the right thing every single time. Very seasoned, almost professional dancers. So, but for most teachers, I would say that you have to be willing to, and I always say this, appreciate the effort, not the outcome. So only you know your students, only you know their little secrets. Like she broke her foot a year ago. She just had the flu. Right. Her little brother beat her up in the car. We don't know those things. So you have to come in and give yourself grace that the competition and their, hi, Fred. Fred, connect.
Fred, connect, buddy.
We love you, Mr. Fred. But you have to be willing to come in and say, it's not about today. It's about the days leading to today. And today is just a celebration of that. I think we sometimes take ourselves too seriously. We feel like if things don't go well, we tank. So I'll just remind teachers that how your students do at competition is not part of your resume. It isn't who you are. It's what they did that day. So if you love your students 364 other days of the year, then you have to love them that day too.
Ooh, this is why I love Gudat right here. Go ahead, keep going, my friend.
But it's very, very true. I think they have unreal expectations of what the day is going to bring. So if they come knowing that anything can happen and probably will, parents are not your favorite people on those days necessarily. There's always one. It's like that you always say, you read the last parent out of the competition said, I wish that day would have been shorter. And that's all you think about for a recital. So you have to just go in and know that we always say it's a performance opportunity. It's a performance opportunity. Well, guess what? It is. It's just an opportunity. It doesn't get them into college. It doesn't change anything. If you're not careful, you're pitting one of your own students against another one of your own students. So what you got to do is just go in and applaud the effort. Did you prepare for today? How did you do on stage? I often have said, I always sent my 12 and unders home. I didn't let them come to the awards ceremonies because I didn't want the last word of the day to be what their color medal was. So my older kids got used to picking up my 12 and under awards. Just because I wanted to control that situation, I would give it to them later at the studio. Now, I'll say that saying that I didn't bring 203 entries and 65 12 and unders. I had maybe 6 of them. But that's how I feel about that 5 minutes on stage. And I truly love my job as special awards judge because I feel like my job in that moment is to buffer those numbers, with words and words that matter and words that elicit kindness and notice the whys and wherefores. That's what I see my job at when I'm sitting in the special awards judge chair, is to find that effort and comment on it with something other than numbers. So I think it's important that you look for competitions that have a little something for those that are not overall winners.
Can I just say, as a studio owner and as a choreographer, and we have a very wide age range. So I have littles as young as 7 this year who are competing, all the way up to senior in high school. I appreciate that you approach those awards in that way, because, like you're saying, that effort can be seen with that first time on stage mini jazz dance. But if they're going up against a studio that this is their third time on stage, you know what I mean, or third season on stage, and this is my kid's first season on stage, you're going to know the difference. Even though they're in the same age category, maybe the same hours a week, it you know, it's apples and oranges. So I appreciate you being able to see and award that effort, and I know that other studio owners appreciate that too, because, like you're saying, you know, you want them to leave there excited and happy, and coming into the studio on Monday saying like, wow, like we might not have made it in the top 10, but we got that special award. Like it does help that they're noticed in some way, and it gives them that little fire and motivation to be like, okay, now let's listen to what the judges said and let's keep applying those notes. Let's keep growing. Let's keep pushing, you know. It is just so helpful. It lights up their day.
I'm going to say again that your students' accomplishments on that day or any other day are not your resume. Because Scotty will tell you.
You said that twice, and in my mind, I've heard you say that before. Describe to everybody what that statement means to you.
Well, for example, if a teacher's personality is based on whether or not their students win or lose, when they go to competition, if things start to tank that day, they'll go to the host and they have, can you speed it up? This isn't working, because suddenly everything is tanking. So they're more concerned about how people are looking at them because their students aren't winning rather than how their students are doing. So
I'm glad I asked that question.
So in other words, if you were to read their resume, they're going to list what their students have won, not necessarily what they themselves have done. Now, a little bit of that is fine. Sure, if you have national winners and you want to say that, but that creates a problem on competition day, because sometimes the studio shows up whose dancers are a little bit stronger than yours that day. Right. And suddenly you're losing your identity because you're not winning. So let's don't wrap our identity around the win. And the day will be so much easier for everybody.
We need to take our own, like,
I mean, is that bad to say?
No, it's realistic. And you know what? It's time to be more realistic, and it's not about disliking competition or we shouldn't do it. It's more about how do we do this so it's healthy for everybody.
And I'm going to say we told ourselves that when we came back from the epidemic, the whole thing. We sat there and we said, we're not going to be like this anymore. We're going to look at this differently. And we came back. And did we? I'm not sure. So maybe it's time to readjust the nozzles a little bit. I'm not saying that you should not strive to win a competition. I mean, some people are competitive by nature, but I'm saying give yourself a break. Don't wrap your life around the wins and the loses, because, you know, that's just.
And I have to add to that. As a guy who, you know, transitioned into working with studio owners, those that have that as their identity don't always do well business-wise.
Yes, I agree with that.
So you must decide what your identity is and what your real vision of success is.
I mean, Scott, am I right? I mean, do they not get crazy because they're not winning?
Yeah. It could go. Competition weekend could get very dark if that happens, and it really does.
Mm-hmm.
and therefore that studio is upset, and they're upset backstage, and they're not friendly with the other kids and all that stuff. And what I wanted to add to Diane is it's about the studio that is cheering the kids on backstage, or they come off stage and they say, oh my God, that was so good, or that costume's beautiful, or they're just stretching or doing something, or they're friends. Like, I'm going to a competition in a few weekends. It's 2 major studios that probably have like 200 entries each. And they're so excited that they're going to be there because they had just done nationals together, and their kids are friends, and they're happy, and they're cheering each other on. And they went in watched their kids, the other studio, do title stuff.
Right.
I want to say something though, Scott.
Yeah.
I feel like the Northeast Corridor, it does that more so than the rest of the country. There's probably people who are watching this who'd say, oh, my area, they'd never do that. Like, they're trying to avoid each other. The comments are coming in like
not
that.
Being there, I would agree with you. Not being there, I would agree with you. But I also, I mean, I love it when I go to a competition and I see during the awards that teachers actually sitting next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody wins something, they punch each other like, ah, you know, and they laugh about it together and they support each other. I know it sounds like a utopian society, but I've seen it happen. I saw it 4 weeks ago in January.
Mm-hmm.
I saw teachers greet each other with a hug and loan shoes and clap for each other's kids and, you know, compliment each other without, like, it wasn't fake. It can be done. But I think that, you know, I remember several times in my career forcing people to talk to me, just coming up and being nice to the other teachers, saying, you know what? I wish our costumes were as beautiful as yours. They are just gorgeous, you know, that type of thing. But I think you're right. I think that the New England area is a little bit better about that. But I think that the teachers in New England, a lot of them grew up together, and a lot of them are coming from common ground, common teachers, and maybe even went to dance class together.
Yeah.
Not only dance class, but we competed against each other. So we
in the real day when only one person won.
Yes. And now it's everybody's kids competing against each other, but we don't have the attitudes of the people who came before us. No. Because we're like, oh my God, I've known her for 45 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Too, we were around when the greats were great, like when the grand dams around, like your mother, like Mr. Fred, who's on here watching, like Beverly Fletcher, Edith Royal. Those people were our mentors, and they handled competition with grace and style and professionalism, and we learned from them. So maybe it's just that these generations coming haven't had that kind of exposure, and maybe we need to be that.
I was just going to say, Diane, I feel like that comes from the top. Like, we went to a competition, was 2 years ago. And it was, a studio in our area. Okay. Cause we're Pennsylvania. So when we go to Jersey, we're competing against no one from our area. There's so many options. So the odds of us going against someone from our area is not always there. There's too many options on a weekend. So I remember we got backstage, and I know the owner of this studio. Her name's Dina, and she is as sweet as can be. And I introduced myself. I'm like, oh, you're from Doylestown Dance Center. I own Libra. It's so nice to meet you. And she was kind of like, oh, hi. And I'm like, good luck to your dancers today. We get backstage. My senior jazz dance is going against her senior jazz dance. Don't you know they have the same costume on? They're standing next to each other, and I'm with them, checking them in, and they're like this. I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're all going to go on together. We're doing a production number. You ready, ladies? And they all just busted out laughing. They were
it's still a good costume.
Yeah. And they just like laughed. And I'm like, you all look great. I'm like, can I take a picture for Dina? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I took a picture of all of us together, and I put it on our social media. I tagged their studio shared it on their social media. But it was like, this could have been like a moment, right? Between like my dancers eyeing up their dancers. And I'm like, It doesn't have to be like that. Like, let's,
So
like,
maybe, the reason that we get on these formats and speak is to have some kind of influence. So maybe that's what we should do is to be the guiding force, to make sure that we're going to competitions who support these things. And when we're there, I'm not saying the whole bit with all of your kids, give all the other kids a bracelet, not that kind of stuff. Just the common decency to respect the talents of the other teacher and to be supportive of that person who's in exactly the same position you are. Offer them an Advil at 2:00, because who doesn't need an Advil at 2:00?
Okay, wait. Okay, I want to take a breath here because this was good. This was real. And I am a guy who loves putting on real. Can I say and Scotty, I feel like we're overwhelming you. So I'm looking forward to your
I'm
work.
laughing this whole thing. It's very funny.
Want to know what I believe, Diane? A part of this is, and it's more about confidence in who you are. Okay, if you believe in what you do and your kids don't win, but you're sure of what you're accomplishing and the good that is going on, it's confidence that makes it. And so in New England, lots of good teachers. They're confident in themselves. I could sit next to someone who might beat my kids, but I'm confident in myself, so it's not going to bother me.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that it's hard. I mean, people that are just getting started in it, that are unsure of themselves and their kids, I can see where they might put on that protective armor and back off a little bit. But I'm saying to those teachers that are listening that do have confidence, notice that. It's like in grade schools now, they have a bench outside that says the buddy bench. So if you're feeling alone and not confident, you can go sit on the bench and other people are supposed to come sit next to you and help you,
I could use a buddy bench. A Saturday night buddy bench.
So maybe
that's called a bar stool. You just go to the bar, Rhee.
And invite people. Maybe we need to be more inclusive with the younger students. Maybe we need to recognize that it's not that they're being uppity or whatever. They're actually insecure and would love to have our community. We talk about community a lot. We talk about it with almost all of Rhee's projects, whatever they may be, whether it's Dance Life Teacher Conference or Motivate or whatever he's got going at the time. The underlying message, I think, from Rhee is that we're all in this together. Right. We need to not just look forward, but we need to look side to side and find the people that are walking along with us, maybe hanging back a little bit because they need our confidence. They need to know that we've been there too, and you're doing just fine. So, and to those teachers, I would say, find those events. I'm not going to do a commercial for Dance Life and Soul and things like that, but I'm involved in those, so I know. Go places where you find your people so that you gain confidence. So that it's not just about spitting out choreography and praying that the kids do well and the parents like you and you're going to do it even better next year. It's about where are you in this, because you're going to wake up 25, 30 years from now, and what do you have? A wall full of trophies? What do you have? Who are you at the end of those 30 or 40 years? Now that's kind of deep, but it's true.
I'm just going to make your image the whole screen here for a few minutes.
Just pin her, Rhee.
What happens to Diane is that our reaction is also what these kids are going to take away from us and what they're going to travel and do. And with that being said, I have a student who graduated from my studio, a gentleman, and he's at school for dance, and he is teaching at a dance studio now. And he just texted me the other day and he said, Scott, I want to let you know I brought an orange bag, which is a joke at our studio because I have a giant orange bag that has E6000 and rhinestones and sewing and headpieces and earrings and things to make headpieces in case someone forgets it, and all tights and all different colors and sizes, everything. And to other teachers, a glue gun and safety pins. I mean, and the other teachers know I have it too. So they would always come and, Scott, I need blah, blah, blah. And I would have it. I'm like, give me a second. So he texts me, says, I just want to let you know I have your orange bag in my own version. And we've already used it. And the studio owner asked me what it was. And I had to tell him that it was because you did this for me. I was crying. I was in the garden. I was like, oh, yeah.
On that orange bag,
That's what made it worth it for me.
I've gone to competitions with him where his kids are there and had like a kid show up without a headpiece, and he will go in that orange bag and build one that looks exactly like the one that's missing.
Wow.
Boom.
But Scott, how cool is that? That's like a part of your legacy. Like that's what Diane was just talking about. And some people might not see it that way, but like you understanding that like there needs to be a go-to person when stuff doesn't go right. And he recognized that you were his go-to person when stuff didn't go right. Like that's, to me, that's like a feather in your hat. Yeah, for sure.
That kid is going to be successful no matter what, and he's going to carry this away. And it was for another studio. I think he had another pair of tights or something, and it was for somebody else. It wasn't even for one of his kids. And I'm like, there you go. That's
you can say to kids, have a good time today. But if you're not having a good time, they see that.
Right.
You know, you can say to your kids, okay, go have fun. But if you're not having fun, they know that. So you have to go with the attitude of, yeah, I'm having fun. I mean, I don't know. I've never spent a day at competition with Scott, which involves probably 3,000 days of competition at the very least, where he's not having fun, where he doesn't think about somebody else. He'll make cookies. He'll bring toys. Because he's decided to have fun. And that is contagious. And it's necessary. It's necessary.
And for me too, and it depends on what role I'm doing, if I'm doing specials or I'm hosting or judging, whatever I'm doing. But as a host, if your judges are having fun and they're relaxed, then the scores are going to be good. Then the teacher's going to be okay. Then the parents are everything, and everything's going to flow. It's when things are going badly and a judge is off, doesn't have a good time and needs a break. I'll go. I don't care if we're behind. You stand up and we'll walk around. I'm watching. I'm making sure.
Yes, I'm sending for coffee and here's a cookie. And he does that.
Right. Oh, yeah. Make cookies. It's not like I buy them. I make them from home.
Yeah, but it's I mean, when we're working with teachers in the capacity of a host or as a representative of a company, it's like if I am in charge of something and I have a teacher come up to me, I can see them coming. I'm prepared for it, and I try to flip that anxiety into a laugh if I can, because that. He does have the best cookies, Patty. He really does. Don't read into that, people.
I can't believe it.
Don't read into that, people. But
what's your best cookie out of?
I have a cookie that's soy, dairy, and gluten-free. That's delicious.
With chocolate chips, dark chocolate. Yeah. So good. It makes your day. But those cookies represent making everybody feel good. That's his feel-good way. He also has a bag full of toys and other snacks and whatever. I'm not saying you have to whip out the party supplies, which he always does. But the point is, gotta have fun, because the kids know when you're faking. Don't pretend to have fun. And I do that when I've got kids doing choreography that's supposed to be fun. Don't pretend to have fun. Go ahead and have it.
Aaron, you will, because I can drive to Mohegan.
Okay, Scott, remember this coffee talk, because I think you need to bring a couple of grosses.
I'll show my recipe.
And I know they're not really as good for you as he'd like to make you think they are.
Yeah, they are.
But at least
Patty rarely thinks they're really healthy.
I'm sure she's had them many times.
It's almond flour. Come on, it's almond flour. The worst thing in there is maple syrup, and there's only a little of it. I swear to God, it's really good.
It's really good.
I had no idea you'd have to defend your cookies.
I know.
Yeah, really.
But, one time he showed up, honestly, he showed up and I was trying to figure out what in the heck he had. And he had like this whole suitcase. He always has his clothes. He's a big guy, so he needs a big suitcase. His shoes take up half the suitcase. And so he's always looks like he's overpacked, but he's just the same thing that most people would have just in a regular suitcase. But he's got this other suitcase. And I'm like, what in the heck? And I look in there and it's full of beach balls and hats. And I'm like, oh, this guy is out of his. Well, by the end of the weekend, we had used it all and had a great time with every last bit of it. And that suitcase went home empty.
I used to say, Scotty, go make him happy. And that's what he'd do.
Many time he'll just turn. He'll do like a pivot and walk away.
I was not the beach ball kind of guy. I could tell a little motivational talk or story. But yeah, I could always turn to Scotty and go, we need 10 minutes, get him excited, get him rolling. And then
I love it when you're up on stage and the person who's doing the scores is doing this. It's like, you should have done that before I went up there because I was hurrying to get done. And now I'm telling jokes,
I like
it used to
water
be worse in the
too.
old days before it was automated. Go ahead, Scott.
I used to shoot the judges with water guns. Remember, we used to have water gun fights. There was one.
Oh my God!
I think that you actually walked up and dumped an entire bucket of water on my head.
Yeah, those were the days. We can't do that anymore.
No.
Like, no.
Cape Cod, I think it was. We
Cape
ran
Cod.
this special. Yes.
That's where you.
Yes. I also remember a girl having an asthma attack on stage.
Oh my God.
And running to the stage in flip-flops because we were on the beach. It was a very relaxed competition, and the flip-flops flying off my feet and going to help this girl. I actually think that girl was from my brother's studio. But that event on the Cape was a blast.
Those are epic things.
It was.
Yeah.
It's seriously to this day, it's still one of my favorites.
Was that
North
the one where we
American-
walked down the beach to go to work?
Yeah.
And I can't remember what that hotel was. It's a very famous hotel. Now you can't get in that hotel for less than $500 or $600.
Oh, and it was at that time. It was a little ghetto. It was.
Yeah, it's still that way. It's just because it's on the ocean. Yeah, I could think
it was a little musty. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was, but it was fun.
But
We had the big
underlying
beach balls there,
thing
too,
is that
and
this
throwing
is
the beach
fun.
balls. Yeah,
Yeah,
throwing
we
the beach
had
balls there,
fun.
hitting the chandeliers. Yeah.
So what's kind of cool about this discussion is the laughing all these years of different things, that remembering and laughing all these things that we've experienced, and none of it has to do with how great a teacher we are. It's got to do with dance and the connections that you make.
Yeah, they're your people. You're missing them. They're your people. Look at them. They're your dance cousins. It's Thanksgiving. We're there together.
Mhm.
I want to say something because April wrote this. You know that April was at the very, very first Project Motivate, which turned into the Dance Life Teacher Conference idea, all of those things. She was one of like 20 people that were there that very first year with Louis Pabon.
Yeah.
Pabon.
He's on here too. He's watching. Hi, Louis.
Look how far we've come. I'm not going to say it was 30 years ago, but close to 30 years ago.
Mhm.
But let me say, the reason I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, these people do not live by me. The reason I know these people is because they are kind and accepting and friendly. Why is April now my roommate at Dance Life Teachers Conference? Why would I know April from Arizona? And it's because of coming to an event and having people be kind to each other, having fun, being willing to be open and not afraid of other people and other teachers, and sharing that. And then we have lifelong friends. I mean, that's why I know Scott since he was 16. We had fun while everybody else was so busy working and in pain, and we had fun. We did all that too. We took it very seriously, or we wouldn't be who we are today. But we had fun. You can have real fun and still get the job done.
Oh.
Yes.
You can. And that's, living proof. He was 16. He's not that anymore. And all these years later, we're still laughing and having fun where everybody else is stressing out.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that you have to, again, don't just go on this journey looking forward, because there's people walking right next to you. Turn your head to the right or to the left. Maybe look down to that little person that's afraid. But this is lifelong friends. I can go any place in the United States and call somebody.
Mm.
I could park my van in thousands of driveways all over the United States.
She parked it in mine, actually. I'm here to
there's some times I've been in a store just talking, and I see a child come around the corner and just kind of poke their head, and they're like looking at me, and I go, "What studio are you from?" Because they recognize my voice. They don't necessarily. And parents, it's kind of funny. Parents, who all think they're my best. I'm their best friend, but I don't have any idea who you are unless you're standing next to somebody with a studio jacket on. You need to at least. I'm their friend, because I like to treat it, and I've done this for years, good or bad. I like to treat competition like we're sitting in someone's living room and we're watching TV and we're all relaxed and we're watching each other do that. And that's what it could be. I mean, it's competitive. That's what you're there for. It's competition, but you're there to be relaxed and to enjoy each other's performances on stage. And that's what you really need to, not just your own kids. But
and we say it all the time. You don't go there to win. You can't win at dance. It's just an art project in progress. These kids are just little pieces of art in progress. And they're either going to win or they're not. And even if they win all the time, somebody's going to show up and take it from them one time. So are they worthless then? No. Are you worthless then? No. So if you're going to approach this season differently, I would say just go in with the effort, not the outcome. Who did what better than the last time? Write your own little awards, give your own little specials out at your studio. Say, hey, I noticed that you gave Joni your shoe. Hey, I noticed that you smiled when everybody else wasn't. Hey, I noticed. It goes. It goes a long, long way. And only we know their secrets. We're the teacher. We know the secrets. We know that you didn't remember your dance and you made it up. Well, I'd rather you have done the choreography we worked for hours and hours on, but hey, good for you. You did it.
Yes.
Right. You didn't freeze. Yep.
So maybe we need to do our own little special awards as we're sitting in the dark and wondering what the heck is going on with the day. Maybe we should be grateful and looking for the little special things that we see in our kids that our kids do well. It might help your day go a little bit better, a little list of what they did well that you can then say at the studio, here's my special awards. Or I used to have a MVP poster the weekend after recital shows, whatever. And my MVPs and why they were MVPs. Most valuable performer.
Love it. I love it.
It's a lot of work. We got enough to do, but I'm saying you're sitting there anyway, Yeah.
Scotty.
Buddy.
Tell everybody I am taking you off guard. Be ready. Tell everybody one of the funniest stories from you hosting a dance competition that you remember that stands out to you.
Oh my God. There's a few, but I got to be careful on how I say this. There's a few that we talk about a lot, just joking about it. There was one child, I won't ever forget it, that on the judging panel was Joanne Zavisa, Lorraine Sousa, Gary Colburn, and really great people, nice, kind people. Well, this child was on stage dancing, and she was not feeling well.
Oh no.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, and she happened to have a lot of Shanae turns in her dance.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she proceeded to projectile
Oh
vomit
no.
and Shanae turn while it was happening. I've never seen a judge push their chair away from a table so fast. I'm telling you, it was Lorraine Sousa was going like this, away. Yeah, so we had to shut the competition. Of course, there was no main curtain, so we had to clean it all up with people watching. But yeah, that was one. There was also a time, Rhee, we happened to be at a national convention and loud music in an old building in Boston. And
so this could involve me, does it? I don't know.
a cockroach fell from the ceiling.
Oh!
I'd
And
be out.
everyone was pushing
Nope.
everyone pushing their chair
Nope.
away from it. Everyone's pushing away. And our dear friend, right, Diane?
Who was? I think it was also on a TV. Like, weren't we?
You
were on the TV.
No,
you were
You were
watching.
on the TV because you had been ill and you watched most of it from the thing.
Yeah,
That
Did I
cockroach
see
fell
the-
from the ceiling. I think it was on Judy James.
No.
it didn't fall on her, it fell on
Oh.
the floor, but everyone was pushing away. Judy James stood up and stamped on it, and we continued on. She's from Florida. She's used to cockroaches. I mean, it was
I know where that was. It was
I know.
Park Plaza, Boston.
Yeah, totally. So
And
they
it
were
was
not
like-
used to the music I was playing.
It was a big anniversary thing too. It was
Yeah.
like
20th anniversary.
Yeah.
Do you remember those days? There were 3,000 entries. We were in 3 different locations across the city.
yeah,
I do
and
remember that.
like the prize for the dance off was giant. And I remember-
$10,000.
and you invited me
Wow.
to judge it, and I thought, oh my God, I was so nervous. I actually threw up in my room before I came down.
She did. She did.
What it was 20 years, 20,000.
10
And
for, yeah. I
10
did the 12.
for each.
I did the 12 and under, and I did the first opening number for the juniors, which involved quite a few very, right now, very famous dancers who are,
Yeah.
who are leading the dance world now. They've grown and are doing those things now. But that convention, oh my goodness. I remember that, Scott. And for the rest of the week, everybody was like
Oh God.
trying to
And
watch
like probably
the
like look it up.
Yeah.
praying that a
From the
cockroach
ceiling,
didn't
yeah.
have a leg. Yeah. But that's, I mean, you get bugs all the time. We get bugs all the time.
And I was in ready. Was that the competition, Diane, that you had to do the opening number at too? Okay, so I had a hotel room at this competition, and it was very small. It was like a bed, and that was it. Like there was this much room around the bed, and to go into the bathroom shower, like here's the knobs on this side, but the shower was on this side thing, so it was very odd. And I walked out of it. I kicked the marble, and the marble fell off the shower. And Diane was choreographing an opening number for one of the age groups,
Or the juniors.
and she was sitting at the opening meeting, and she turned to one of the others, and she asked what song they were using. They were using the same song. So her being the senior, yeah, Stacey Eastman, actually, yeah, and she was, I couldn't, she's like, I have to change my song. I was like, I've got the perfect song for you. Come to my room, but don't bring anyone or anything because there's no room in here for you. So she came and let us in the bed. And that was the year that Jennifer Lopez came out with Let's Get Loud. And I said, I've got the perfect song. You need to use this.
And Stacey was doing Liva La Vida Loca.
Yeah.
And so I had already done kind of a Spanish of it. She looked at me, and I knew that Stacey had worked for Days and Days, but I knew that Stacey also had color-coded charts and things like that. There was no change in that. So I just went, oh, that's great. And then Scott looked at me from across the room, and he went, what's wrong? So he came over, and I said, okay, well, So yeah, within 2 hours, he had fixed it up for me. But that's back when you carried those great big packages of CDs in your car.
Oh.
And he had driven. So we had like 42 of those containers of CDs, and he's flipping through them, and he goes, I've got it. This one.
It was before, it was before Spotify and Apple Music and all that
Yep.
stuff.
you either had it with you or you didn't have it.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
This-
Many funny things. Yeah.
Oh, this is a blast. I was just thinking, because it's 2024. That was 20,000, 20 years, whatever it was. I think ADA is 45 years old this year.
Wow.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
79, 9 to 4 is 5. I think it's 45 years old.
Look at you do math live and on Coffee Talk.
What is, and you know, I want to say something. It was kind of hard to give up in the beginning, but now I just look and watch it and I go, I started that. You know, like it's cool that this seed got set and it's still going on.
I went to the competition that I started on Saturday to watch my granddaughter perform for her first time in a competition, and I felt the same way. And I didn't feel like I needed to stay and watch the whole thing, but I felt like, oh, it's still alive. It's like I feel that way when I drive past my studio. It's a living being and it still exists and it's still there for me, and I still have the respect for the people inside the building. It went as well as it could have been in terms of, you know, turning over a studio, but I know what you mean, Rhee, because you look at it and think, I did that. And I trained those people, and they're doing it their own way now, which is hard to accept sometimes, a little bit different.
Oh, no.
I don't have any regrets for that.
I wouldn't want, I know a lot of competition directors. I would not want to be in that place in 2024. I'm perfectly happy. Once, you guys know who Nancy King is?
Of course.
Okay, so Nancy King and her husband come to the retreat center, and we're talking. Nancy King raises his hand, and he goes, "You're a genius. You brought dance competition to us, made us all crazy. Now you run seminars to help us because we're crazy."
Yeah, you created the beast, and now you're teaching us to control it. Yes.
I was like, whoa.
Oh
my God, he figured it out. Damn it.
Yeah, really.
It was the strategic plan I've had my whole life, and it worked.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
Make us all crazy and then cure us. Yeah, good.
No, I'm still crazy.
No, we got to wind this up because, we really got to wind it up. But competition can be such a cool opportunity for us to grow as choreographers, teachers, parents, to see how far their kids can go. Like, I look at the competition scene, never expected it to be where it is in 2024 with 100 and something. I thought there were too many 20 years ago. But boy, it could be a whole lot more fun, and there'd be a lot less comments on Monday morning on the boards if we just would stop and enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Notice the good that's going on. It's going on all around you. That little sister who's inspired by her big sister. That mom who's going through health issues that has the chance to see her daughter dance on stage. Those are all the things going on around you, regardless of the outcome. Find it, look for it, point it out to everybody.
Yep.
If it means something to you, it will mean something to the people that you lead.
Yeah.
Ooh. Good talk. I think I say this almost every week, but we got to do this again.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got stories, just the two of us. We've got, where is she? She's
over
Yeah, that way. That way.
Yeah.
And we could do one that's later at night, so we could tell stories that, are as long as we don't want the censors to go after us.
Yeah.
This is champagne talk, not coffee talk, is what we're saying.
Yeah, I like champagne talk or martini talk.
Oh. Anything alcohol talk. It doesn't. You could be coffee, just in your
Something.
Okay. we got to wrap this up. I love you both. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today. Great memories. Enjoy this journey. We will see you the next